When you look at tactical athletes, you're not talking about people cruising through a climate-controlled gym. These are men and women carrying heavy packs in extreme heat while sprinting, dragging casualties, and climbing under fire. This presentation is going to explore one question: can a simple supplement like beta-alanine really make a dent in that kind of fatigue? The demands placed on soldiers and first responders are brutal, wearing 30 to 50 kilograms of gear in temperatures that can soar well over 40 degrees Celsius. They repeatedly sprint, drag wounded colleagues, and scale obstacles. There's very little downtime, and yet they have to stay sharp. With that level of stress on the body and brain, it's fair to ask if a supplement could actually help or if it's just more marketing noise. Tactical training isn't just one event, it's a series of high-output tasks under load. You might have to sprint, then drag someone to safety, then climb, all while making split-second decisions. It's common to haul 30 to 50 kilograms of equipment in heat that feels like a furnace. Recovery time is short, and yet you still have to think clearly and act decisively. That combination of physical stress and heat accelerates fatigue like nothing else. These jobs demand repeated bursts of power. You're sprinting, carrying a partner, climbing over walls and shooting accurately while your heart rate is pounding. Because recovery is limited, acidic byproducts accumulate quickly, and your muscles and brain are under constant stress. On top of that, you're dealing with dehydration and mental pressure from the environment. That's why fatigue can feel overwhelming in the field. Every time you perform a short, intense effort, your muscles pump out hydrogen ions and lactate. When those hydrogen ions build up, the pH in your muscles drops, and enzymes that make energy slow down. In other words, your power output falls off. Add in heat and dehydration, and the metabolic stress ramps up even faster, so fatigue sets in sooner than it would in cooler, more controlled conditions. Beta-alanine is a small amino acid that your body doesn't use to build proteins. Instead, it pairs with histidine to form carnosine, a dipeptide stored in muscle cells. Carnosine has a pKa of roughly 6.83, which means it's ideally suited to soak up those extra hydrogen ions that accumulate during intense exercise. When you supplement with about 3 to 6 grams of beta-alanine per day for at least 4 weeks, your muscle carnosine levels can climb by 30 to 60%. More carnosine means better buffering and potentially better performance when acidity would normally shut you down. The tasks at tactical athletes aren't marathon runs or single maximal lifts. They're repeated, high-intensity efforts that last from roughly a minute to 5 minutes. These efforts generate a lot of acidity, which can slow you down physically and mentally. By acting as a buffer, carnosine can neutralize hydrogen ions, helping you keep pushing and stay focused during casualty drags, obstacle climbs, and other demanding drills when rest is scarce. For beta-alanine to work, you need to treat it like a loading protocol, not a pre-workout stimulant. The effective dose is about 3 to 6 grams per day, split into smaller servings of roughly 800 milligrams to 2 grams. It takes at least 4 weeks of daily use to saturate your muscles. After 2 weeks, carnosine might rise by 20 to 30%. After 4 weeks, increases of 40 to 60% are common, and after 10 weeks, you could reach around 80%. There is no same-day benefit, so you have to plan ahead. When beta-alanine is loaded properly, the performance gains are modest but real. Meta-analyses show that for efforts lasting from 1 to about 10 minutes, performance can improve by roughly 2 to 3%. That might sound small, but in a tactical context, a few percent can mean the difference between clearing an obstacle cleanly and failing it. For very brief efforts under 60 seconds or longer endurance work over 10 minutes, the benefits are minimal. Research in soldiers is limited but promising. In one trial, soldiers taking around 6 grams of beta-alanine per day for 30 days increased their muscle carnosine and completed a 50-meter casualty, carry faster while maintaining better shooting accuracy. Other studies have shown that 4 weeks of supplementation improved jump power and sped up target engagement after a fatiguing run. Interestingly, those same protocols did not improve longer runs or very short sprints, reinforcing that the supplement targets specific energy systems. The takeaway from these studies is that beta-alanine seems to help when the task lasts longer than about a minute and involves a heavy load or cognitive component. There were little to no benefits in short sprints or longer endurance runs. Some studies found a moderate relationship between how much carnosine increased and how much fatigue resistance improved, suggesting that individuals who respond strongly might see more benefit. Most of what we know about beta-alanine comes from studies on athletes. Direct research on soldiers and tactical populations is scarce, and almost none of it examines effects on cognitive resilience or performance in extreme heat. Female service members are also underrepresented in the data, so we don't know if hormonal factors change the response. More targeted research is needed before we can make definitive claims. Animal studies have explored whether beta-alanine might help the brain under heat stress. Rodents given beta-alanine for about a month were better able to regulate body temperature and maintain neurotrophic factors when exposed to 40 to 41 degrees Celsius. They also showed reduced inflammation compared with controls. It's an intriguing finding, but there's no human data yet, so we can't say that beta-alanine will protect soldiers in extreme heat. The main side effect of beta-alanine is a harmless tingling known as paresthesia. It tends to occur when single servings exceed about 800 milligrams and usually fades within an hour. Splitting your daily dose into smaller servings or using a sustained release formula virtually eliminates the sensation. Numerous studies have used doses up to 12 grams per day without affecting blood markers or organ function. For operational readiness, you need to start loading well ahead of deployment. Begin 4 to 6 weeks out, taking 3 to 6 grams per day divided into multiple servings. Taking the supplement with meals can improve uptake and reduce tingling. Powder is the most cost-effective option, but capsules are more convenient when you're in transit. During the mission, try to keep taking a maintenance dose each day. If supplies are limited, you can drop to the lower end of the range to conserve product without losing all benefits. To avoid distracting sensations, opt for sustained release formulas or break your daily intake into several small servings spread across the day. Taking beta-alanine with food further dampens the tingling. For portability, capsules or pre-measured sachets fit easily into a pack, while bulk powder requires a scoop and water but costs less per gram. Plan your supply carefully because skipping several days will let carnosine levels drift downward. It's important to keep expectations realistic. Beta-alanine won't give you an immediate boost, it only works after weeks of consistent loading. Large single doses can cause uncomfortable tingling, which isn't ideal when you're trying to concentrate. There's still uncertainty about how well it works under extreme heat or dehydration, because most studies haven't looked at those conditions. And in the field, remembering to take multiple doses every day can be challenging. Beta-alanine makes the most sense for special operations units, firefighters, and other tactical athletes who face repeated high-output efforts with heavy loads. If your training involves tasks lasting 1 to 5 minutes, like dragging a casualty, scaling a wall, or sprinting with gear, and you're chasing every small edge, then a loading protocol could help. The key is commitment to daily dosing. This supplement isn't for everyone. Personnel who mostly perform endurance tasks longer than 10 minutes or very brief efforts under 60 seconds probably won't notice much difference. If your mission schedule is unpredictable and you can't reliably take several doses each day, you'll struggle to load effectively. And if you find the tingling sensation distracting during critical operations, you might decide it isn't worth the hassle. Beta-alanine is not a magic bullet, but it can offer a small yet meaningful edge in the right context. When your job involves multiple high-intensity efforts that drive up acidity, a 2 to 3% improvement in fatigue resistance could be significant. It won't regulate your body temperature, boost your energy, or replace proper hydration and rest. Its only job is to increase carnosine levels, and that only happens when you preload with the right dose for several weeks. To wrap up, beta-alanine increases muscle carnosine and can delay fatigue during high-intensity, repeated efforts. It needs to be taken at 3 to 6 grams per day for at least 4 weeks, and ideally split into small servings. Tingling is harmless and can be avoided with sustained-release products or smaller doses. Most of the evidence comes from athletic studies, with only a handful of soldier-specific trials and almost none in extreme heat. Use beta-alanine as one part of a broader strategy that includes training, nutrition, hydration, and recovery.